In this video, we're going to look at how we draw a Voronoi diagram on paper. So, here we have a question, and there are just two sites. This is the simplest one we can get. So, you're going to be doing it on paper. I'm going to be doing it on here so that you can see. So, first of all, you need to start by plotting the two sites. So we've got one at 5, 6, so that's 5, 6, and this is site A, make sure you label them, and B is at -3, 2. Then we need to construct the Voronoi diagram. As you'll remember, the Voronoi diagram separates the regions where the points will be closer to each site. So we need to draw the perpendicular bisector of the line segment AB. So we're trying to draw the perpendicular bisector of the line segment that joins A and B. So just by eye, I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to be going somewhere like this. It's going to have a negative gradient, and it's going to come through somewhere like that, just looking at by eye. So I've just checked that I'm doing the right thing. So the first thing we need to do is find the midpoint. So I'm going to scroll down here. So the midpoint of AB. Okay, so our points were that A was the point 5, 6, and B was the point -3, 2. So the midpoint of AB, so using the midpoint formula, it's x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. So the midpoint of AB is going to be 5 plus -3 over 2 and 6 plus 2 over 2. And that gives us the coordinates 1, 4. So my midpoint is 1, 4. I'm going to plot that point just now, and that goes in here, and that's my midpoint. Just giving it a really small label of M, because we don't really want that M there in the final Voronoi diagram. But you can see that that looks like I've done it roughly correctly. So that's my first check. Now I need to find the equation of the line that is going to be perpendicular to the line AB and go through the point M. So to find the line that's going to be perpendicular, I need to look at the gradients. So now I'm going to find the gradient. Oops. Let me write that a bit clearer. So the gradient of the segment AB, well, gradient y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2, 2, minus y1, 6. So 2 minus 6 over -3 minus 5. Remember, you don't need to remember these formulae. You have them in your formula book. You should look them up and check that you understand how to use them. So 2 minus 6, -4, -3 minus 5, -8. So that gives us 1/2. So if the gradient of AB is 1/2, then the perpendicular bisector perpendicular bisector has a gradient of, now it's the double negative, isn't it? So we have to flip it and multiply it by -1. So it's going to be -2. So this is remembering that the gradient of one of them times by the gradient of the other gives us -1. So to calculate the second gradient, so to calculate M2, it's just -1 divided by the first one. And you can do that on your calculator. Or we can remember, we flip it and multiply by -1. Lots of different methods, okay, all the same thing. So the perpendicular bisector has a gradient of -2, and it passes through that midpoint, and passes through 1, 4. So now we need to find the equation of that line. Or, well, actually we don't need to find the equation of the line. We can actually plot that straight onto our graph now. So we've got the point 14, and now we need to show a gradient of -2. So if we come back up to our graph, a gradient of -2 means that for every 1 we go along, we go down 2. So it will be here. Every 1 we go along, we go down 2. So I want to draw a line now. So my line will come something like that. You will obviously use a ruler, and it will be much more accurate. In fact, I can make this better because that beginning bit isn't very good. Every 1 we go along, it would be down 2. 1, 2. Oh, that's worse. You guys will have a ruler though. And you should carry it on right the way through, okay, as far as your diagram goes. And that is drawing the diagram. Let's just, for the sake of revision, check that we can actually write down the equation of this line. So the equation of this line, we would be using our formula, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. That's our formula for finding the equation of a straight line when we have the gradient and a point. So we say y minus, and then the y1 is this 4. And m is -2, x minus x1, which is 1. And we can expand this bracket, rearrange in whatever form we need it in. And for plotting, it's quite useful to bring it to be y equals. So I'm going to expand the bracket, so I'll get -2x plus 2, and then I'm going to add this 4 from this side. I'm going to get rid of it from here, so I need to add 4 to both sides. So my final one will be y equals -2x plus 6. And we can see that on our graph here. If you want to do more practice of this, there is a worked example in your textbook on page 423, example 2. Page 423, example 2. And when you're happy, you can go on to the next video where we'll look at 3 points. And then after that, you can go by yourselves.